Auriemma could not have asked for a better start to the new year as the Connecticut Huskies collected a couple of conference victories, the first in Orlando and then in Memphis.
I'm happy with my team right now.
UConn now returns home with a perfect record of 15-0 to face a pair of American Conference foes before a Monday night showdown deep in the heart of Texas at Baylor. We're talking Huskies and we're talking Cougars.
Hold up, good cut. That's the way to read that.
And we're talking practice. And we're getting it all going on the UConn women's basketball pregame show, beginning right now. A week away from home, the Connecticut Huskies back at Gamble Pavilion tonight, looking to keep their winning streak intact. It is the #1 team in America going up against the Cougars of Houston, coming up top of the hour right here on SNY. As we welcome you inside our New York City studios, Gary Apple, alongside the former national champion at Connecticut. It's Carol Walters, won a gold medal for our Olympic team as well. A woman of many accolades, may I say. Thrilled to be alongside you, Carol. And listen, they were away for a couple of games, but it felt like they were away for weeks, did it not?
Yeah, and if you talk to Gino, he'll tell you it felt like a month-long road trip. But hey, guess what? They better get used to it. They better get used to it because now in this new conference, they're going to have to travel all over the place. It's not the Big East anymore, and they have to get used to that. But this road trip seemed long to them. They didn't have time to practice. They've only had a few games in December. They couldn't kind of get things going.
Speaking of accolades, big one today for Brianna Stewart. Going to tell you about that in just a little bit. But Connecticut comes off the win over the weekend against Memphis. They played very well. They beat Memphis down at the FedEx Forum 90-49, and balance, I think, was the headline. Balance scoring for in double figures.
Most definitely. And then you got Kalina Mosqueda-Lewis getting her groove back a little bit, but everybody getting involved, sharing the basketball, unselfish play. There was nothing forced. Everybody, their offense is starting to click. It's something where their shooting needed to improve, and their offensive sets improved. When you get everybody involved, who do you guard? That's the question. They have so many weapons on this team, and using them is going to make this team successful.
And they got solid play off the bench as well, which I know makes Gino happy in the long run.
Very happy because he's tried to incorporate this bench. He says he still doesn't know what his rotation is going to be. He's trying to find his rotation, which is scary because I wonder what's going to happen when he does find his rotation. Trying to get the personnel together and get them to click. So it's really important to him that he plays those bench players and he gets them involved because come tournament time, you never know what's going to happen or who you're going to need to call on. And this is a team that really collectively is going to win the championship.
Still trying to find the rotation. 15-0 this season, 21-0 going back to last year. So after the game on Saturday, Gino actually satisfied.
Wow.
I thought, except for a couple stretches here and there, I thought we did a pretty good job. I thought everybody that played did a pretty good job. I'm happy with my team right now.
So, not always the case to see that man with that big a smile on his face, but why is he? Why is he so happy right now?
Well, and to hear you say the word satisfied, you said that earlier. Gino satisfied? How is that even possible? He's happy with his team. He's happy that he has everybody healthy now. He's got Kalina and Morgan back after those 8 games. But I think they've played steady and solid. They've taken care of the basketball. One of the best teams of taking care of the basketball in the country. They've done everything right, and they've done a tremendous job. But that's still a big thing for Gino to say. I know he's pleased. I know this team has done a lot, but that is saying a lot of this team.
Go back to Kalina Mosqueda-Lewis because that elbow kept her out for 8 games. Shot it very well from downtown in the win over Memphis.
Yeah, and it was really important for her mentally to kind of get her groove. Once she hits the first shot, if you notice in games, it tends to get the ball rolling from there. You go to her early and often, and she starts knocking those down. And you like to see her take it off the dribble, too. So not only from downtown, but taking it off the dribble and confident, not worrying about that elbow. 5 of 10 from downtown in the game against Memphis. And then there's Morgan Tuck, also missed 8 games. What about her reemergence in this offense? Well, I think she can still do more, but she's coming back from that injury. Again, out 8 games with the knee, and I find the knee to be very different than an elbow injury. Of course, they were both really tough injuries, but she's going to be big for this team down the line. You don't really see it right now, but one of Gino's favorite players. She's tough. She's steady. She can do so many things. She's versatile. So I think she's going to play even bigger role as we move on here.
Let's not forget just how highly regarded she was coming out of high school along with Brianna Stewart. So just getting going here on the UConn Women's pregame show. When Kara and I come back, Brianna Stewart added another piece of hardware to an already impressive resume. Up next, going to head for Gamble for all the details. Plus, after a week on the road, it's certainly good to be back home. And tonight, it's another brand new opponent in the American Conference. Connecticut's Morgan Tuck getting ready at Gamble Pavilion. The Houston Cougars in town. Connecticut, Stephanie Dolson and company coming off the 2 wins on the road. Here's Gino following that Memphis game, the end of what seemed like a very long, extended road trip.
It's been a long trip. We've been tired. We sat in the airport for 6 hours, in Hartford. And then yesterday we were delayed again for a couple hours. So it's, we just got here last night. It's a long haul. Yeah, I think the highlight was, as much as we travel and all the great places, I think they all got their picture taken at Waffle House. I think they went there for breakfast. That was the highlight of the trip, I think, so far.
Well, it can be a very scrumptious meal at the Waffle House. As we know, let's head for Gamble right now. Bring in Kareth Burke. Going to see her on the broadcast tonight. And Kareth, you were with Connecticut every step of the way on the trip. How long did it feel to everybody?
Well, I think you could hear it in Gino's voice, that big sigh that he took. This was a road trip that started on December 30th. They flew from Hartford down to Orlando for the game on New Year's Day. That flight was delayed by 6 hours in total. Then it was time to fly from Orlando to Memphis. That flight was delayed by 2 hours. Radio communication issue, the pilot said, not something you want to mess with. Then it was time to fly home from Memphis to Hartford, and in between there was a stop in Charlotte, a very short layover, and they had to run. The plane in Charlotte landed at an E gate. The girls had to hustle to a C gate. Thankfully, they made it. Finally got home at about midnight. So the Huskies are very happy to be home. They play 5 out of their next 6 games, either in Connecticut or New Jersey, and I know they're thrilled to be here.
Kareth, yet another award for Breanna Stewart. Tell us about that.
Let me make sure I get it right. Very prestigious and long title. The 2013 USA Basketball Female Player of the Year. This is an award she also won in 2011, so now she's the youngest repeat recipient of this award at 19 years old. Last summer, it was the U19 team that she was playing on. Breanna Stewart picked up her 5th gold medal. She did that alongside her teammates Morgan Tuck and Mariah Jefferson. Now, Stewie's told me she loves playing international ball. It helps her stay sharp, and she loves the travel. How many people can you name who have been to Lithuania?
Kareth, you've had the opportunity to sit down with Gino. What are his thoughts about Breanna Stewart and the process and how she's come from last year to this year?
Well, Gino is thrilled. You're right. I had a chance to sit down with him. I asked, is she even better than you thought she would be when you recruited her? And he essentially said yes. He knows the sky is the limit for her. So what the coaches are doing is encouraging her to play with every effort. Sometimes he says, Breanna Stewart's so good that she wants to hear what the coaches say, but then still do things her way. She's so talented that she can get by that way. But they want her to work on things like defense, want her to work on that little hook shot. She's been finding a lot of success with that. So when Breanna Stewart listens, they feel like she's going to do great, and we're starting to see that as well with all the double-doubles that she's been collecting this season. And I mean, Kara, when you think about it, sometimes I don't remember that Stewie is a sophomore. I mean, from your player's perspective, how have you seen her grow as a player?
Well, if she needs help with that hook shot, she can come on over, because that's the shot, let me tell you. I just think she's grown leaps and bounds. I agree with you, Kareth, to think that she's only a sophomore and what she's going to do for this program in the next couple years. And I think the biggest adjustment for her has been this season, she does not get her head down. Like, she doesn't put her head down if she's not scoring. She does other things and the little things. So I think the mental part of her game has grown tremendously, and that's only going to be followed by more and more physical development.
I'm always impressed by the number of ways she can score the basketball. I mean, she can put it on the deck. She can work in the low block. She can step away from the bucket. I don't think there's another player in America who is as as versatile as what she can do.
I think that's the perfect word. She's extremely versatile. She can post up. She can shoot the three, Dirk Nowitzki-ish, little bit. To have that, I think that's the future of the post player, to be able to face up and shoot the three. And we've even seen Stephanie extend her game a little bit to be able to shoot the three. But how do you guard Breanna Stewart is the question, because she's a littler person. She's going to take inside and post up. Then she's going to pull the big girls out who's guarding her and go by them. That's what makes her so difficult to defend.
You know, it's interesting. You mentioned that's sort of the future of the position. We've seen it sort of evolve in the men's game. The European centers have changed the men's game, and now you're right. We are beginning to see maybe a little shift, changing of the guard in the way Breanna Stewart plays the game. So when we come back here, we've heard Gino on the state of his team. We've heard him on traveling. So coming up, he's talking about practice.
If normally when we're going good, it takes 6 minutes, 7 minutes, 8 minutes to get something done the way we want it done, and this time it takes 5, boom, now we're flying.
Kalina Mosqueda-Lewis, 21 last time out, lead the Huskies in that win against the Memphis Tigers, going to take on a Houston team tonight that has lost 3 consecutive, 6 of their last 7. And now the portion of the broadcast we talk about practice. Wasn't Allen Iverson the one? Anyway, here's Gino on what makes a good practice.
Usually it's whether the coaching staff was able to drag out a great practice out of them, and whether they were willing to have a great practice.
Why didn't you guys just pass the ball back and forth to each other instead of just running down here? That's right, because you weren't told. It's what this whole drill is about. And when people talk to you, you don't listen. Five-man weave, down and back. Go!
Sometimes it's a struggle. We want it and they don't, or they are really into it and you don't want, you don't want to be bothered because you're still upset about something that happened yesterday, let's say. But when everybody's working together, the coaches and the players, and the energy level's high, and things are getting done, and you're moving on, one thing to another, quickly.
Move to the ball. Yes! Hold up, good cut. That's the way to read that. Let's go, 2 lines going that way. Let's go.
What makes a bad practice is when it takes way longer than it should to accomplish a certain goal. So if normally when we're going good, it takes 6 minutes, 7 minutes, 8 minutes to get something done the way we want it done, and this time it takes 5, boom, now we're flying.
Get it, Snyder! Good. Next group, let's go.
Whenever we can get things done and the players are really focused in and locked in, and we can move from one thing to another, those 2 hours, they go flying by.
Let's go.
Together, 1, 2, 3.
Yeah!
And much more with Gino tonight, 9:30, or following our post-game show on the Gino Auriemma Show. Coach going to talk about the new conference, the importance of keeping the home-and-home series with Notre Dame, and he's going to take us through the recruitment of Diana Taurasi. So that's coming up tonight here on SNY. But you went through many a Gino Auriemma practice. So what makes him happy during a practice session?
Honestly, it's the little things. It's not even about how many shots you make. Sometimes you have off days, but it's running hard. It's calling out everybody's name. You know how many times he's kicked people out of practice just because they passed the ball and did not call their teammate's name? It's that high energy, like Gino said. It's the little things that make him happy with the practice. When you can keep moving quick, talk to your teammates, dive on loose balls, those little things. That's what sets them apart, honestly.
I know he talked about the fact that he was happy to get back home for a number of reasons, and one of them being more practice sessions, the ability to work on things. He thought they were going to get better this week as a result of that. So what have they been working on so far?
Well, shooting, because they haven't been knocking down their shots. But the other thing is, Gino is their biggest competition this season, honestly. He's going to compete with them in practice every day. He's been challenging them, like get so many shots in this amount of minutes. He's got to challenge them to keep them on their game. So he'll do a lot of challenges, scenarios, that sort of thing, along with working on their offense, of course, and knocking down shots. So he's excited. They do have some more practice time right now.
And they have played 15 games, but he's also discussed the fact that he wants to see what that second unit can bring to this team, and the fact that he wants to find ways to incorporate them into the game a little bit more.
Well, and it's important. I mean, for a long season and they don't have a deep bench, it's really important that these players, and Gino has said before, not only for the good of the team, but for themselves as far as their personal development as a player, he wants to give them those opportunities. But when they've gone in, everybody's competed. You have to say everyone's been pretty solid off the bench. Kia Stokes, she's grown leaps and bounds this year. The rebounding has really made a difference. She's not necessarily there to score, but she's rebounding. Sanaya Chung, she's been taking care of the basketball. Morgan, solid again, contributing. So I think he's pleased with the bench, but he wants to get them more minutes to get involved.
UConn Houston coming up about 10 minutes here on SNY. Stephanie Dolson, she continues to excel on the court. And when we come back, going to take a closer look at the senior center off the hardwood.
I've always wanted to be a guard because they just get all the glory. You know, us posts kind of go down there, battle for like 5 minutes, and then get a nice layup and just run back.
Stephanie Dolson, another milestone, over 1,500 points now in her career, 1,510 to be exact, after she scored a dozen, had 10 rebounds in that win over Memphis. Now a closer look at the UConn Center in this TV timeout.
I would say either Kia or Stewie. Kia because she's a little older, so she's a little more mature. So when I'm quiet, I know she'll be quiet, so we can kind of relax. Stewie, on the other hand, I think she'll just be off the wall the whole time, which is great for some times of the road trip, but other than that, it might be a little, I need some sleep. Oh, it's the best. That's why I've always, as a post, I've always wanted to be a guard because they just get all the glory when they go down and shoot it a three and swish it. And then, you know, us posts kind of go down there, battle for like 5 minutes, maybe get the ball, and then get a nice layup and just run back. Dripping. Just kidding. I'm totally kidding. I'm kidding. I can kind of see him, maybe it's just his Italian side, being like the owner of a pizzeria because he made his sauce and everything, and then his grandma's something, and he has wine. He has so many products. I feel like he could just open his own restaurant. Oh, wait, he has his own restaurant too.
Take that, Mario Batali. I want to see you make it that good.
I got to tell you, she is refreshing. I mean, that personality is fun.
She is a big goofball.
She really is.
She is.
Did she get that from?
For me?
Yes.
Yeah, I passed it down.
You
Every
did
team
pass
has
it down.
a goofball, and I was the goofball, and now Steph.
I know you guys are close. You've got a very strong relationship. What about her on the court, Karen? What have you seen as far as major improvements along the way?
Well, I mean, starting with her offense. I mean, this is a player that not only can score, she's got that hook shot, she's posting up real low, she's demanding the basketball, doing her work before she gets the ball. But the conditioning, she plays the most minutes on this team to enable her to do that on the offensive end. She's also getting people open. I mean, she's a center averaging almost 4 assists a game. And then there's assists that don't show up on the stat sheet because she's setting screens all the time, getting people open. So again, versatile would be another word of Stephanie Dolson that I would describe her. She's even added that 3 to her game. She's posting up, she's setting screens and assists. For a big girl to have almost 4 assists a game, I mean, she's improved because partly her conditioning.
You mentioned screens, and I do want to go a little bit deeper into that because oftentimes that is overlooked, but that's a chemistry thing. That's getting your teammates in position to do good things.
That is, and it's an unselfish thing on her part, but often the screener is open when she rolls. She doesn't always roll. I'll have to get on her for that, but she sets great screens and big screens. Sometimes she'll set a few moving screens, but for the most part, solid screen, big screen, helps get her teammates open, and those are the things that don't show up on a stat sheet.
And she is strong, so we saw the defender just bounce right off her right there. So we're getting set for Connecticut and Houston coming up just a couple of minutes here. They're filing in to Gamble Pavilion on the campus of the University of Connecticut. In stores when we come back, I want to have Kara's keys to the game. Back in a moment. Going to be the first meeting between Connecticut and Houston. This look at the Cougars brought to you by Town Fair Tire. They've struggled in a big way this year, 4-10, 0-3 in the conference. Their head coach, Todd Buchanan, resigned back on December 21st for personal reasons. Associate head coach Wade Scott is taken over on an interim basis. And now that magical time of the broadcast, we call them Kara's Keys. And I say again, look, you look fantastic in that graphic.
Well, thank you. I think the keys, getting bored, really important to rebound. Now think about it. Bad teams, some of these bad teams, they're great at offensive rebounding because they miss a lot of shots. UConn doesn't miss that many shots and doesn't get those opportunities. Really important to get the rebounds, both offensively and defensively. Simply the best. Really important. I mean, this is one of the best defensive teams in the country, but against UCF and Memphis, they gave up a lot of big numbers versus individual guard players that aren't Odyssey Sims, quite frankly. And part of that is a symptom of Kelly Ferris not being there this year. They kind of put Kelly on the best guard on the opposing team. They don't have that anymore. So Bria and Mariah have to buckle down and not let those guards get those shots. Making shots, plain and simple. They have to knock them down. That's really important that they get a bunch of shots to get their groove back in their offense. And Kalina Mosqueda-Lewis, I think she'll help that cause.
Well, indeed, shot it pretty well as a team last time out, 53% in that win over Memphis on Saturday. So Connecticut looking to go to 16-0 on the season, 4-0 in the new American Conference. Kara and I going to see you back here for the Mazda halftime show right now. Enjoy the Cougars going up against the Huskies. Eric Freed, Meg Colmo on the call from Gamble.
After 2 wins on the road, the Huskies are happy to be home at Gamble Pavilion. Kalina Mosqueda-Lewis and the top-ranked UConn Huskies coming off a couple of victories at UCF and Memphis. And no matter how cold it is, Stephanie Dolson knows how to keep warm, and winning helps. The 15-0 Huskies host Houston now on SNY. Welcome you inside, warm and toasty, we're happy to say. Gamble Pavilion here on the UConn campus, where the top-ranked Huskies are set to welcome in the Houston Cougars in an American Conference matchup. We take you to the latest top 10 poll. UConn still firmly #1, 15-0 on the season. Notre Dame, the only other undefeated team in Division I women's basketball. Great to have you with us here in Stores, everybody, alongside Megan Colmo. I am Eric Freed. We hope you were with us on this past road trip at Memphis and UCF, because more than once we would say, just like that, the Huskies are up 10 or 12 or 14. It happens so quickly. How does it happen, Megan?
Well, it seems to happen in the blink of an eye, but what they have done for years and take great pride in is their defense. Leading the country in block shots. Those long outstretched arms of Dolson, but the quick guards there, Banks getting up the floor. They work exceptionally hard in the preseason, in the first couple weeks of practice, and that's why they're so good defensively. They take tremendous pride in it, get in the passing lanes. They work well together as a team. Everyone knows where the ball is. They're exceptionally unselfish. They run hard, and as a big guy, if you run, you're going to get the ball.
One thing to watch here today as the Huskies are set to take on Houston is the improvement of Morgan Tuck. She's been battling back from knee surgery, and she looked pretty good last time out against Memphis.
Yeah, that was probably the best thing that came out of that game against Memphis was the play of Morgan Tuck. And I think it's not only just physically getting her timing back, but I think just in between her ears, I think she just has more confidence. She looks more like herself. Now, her numbers aren't exceptionally different from before the injury and after, but the thing about Morgan, she looks good. She's back to what she was, but you know what? This team will not reach their peak without her. She's a very, very important piece.
Looked like she had a little of that quickness back in that last game. It was a victory in Memphis for the Huskies. They are back home after a couple of wins away from Connecticut. We'll see what Gino Auriemma's team can do against Houston. We'll have the lineups and the opening tip when we come back. It's UConn women's basketball on SNY. Single game tickets for all UConn men's and women's basketball games are still available. Visit UConnTickets.com to purchase yours today. Just a moment ago here on the court at Gamble Pavilion, a ceremony honoring those Huskies taking part and having great success for USA basketball, including Breanna Stewart, USA Basketball's 2013 Player of the Year. Bria Hartley, Stephanie Dolson, Kalina Mosqueda-Lewis, Morgan Tuck joining Brianna, being honored here before the start of this game between Houston and the Huskies. Usual starting five for UConn: Mariah Jefferson, Bria Hartley, Kalina Mosqueda-Lewis, Brianna Stewart, and Stephanie Dolson. All five averaging double figures on the season for head coach Gino Auriemma. Largest deficit the Huskies have faced this season was on the road trip. They are down by 4 at UCF, down 3 against Memphis, but somehow found a way to win.
Tough road trip for them, huh?
And the starting lineup for the Houston Cougars, tough start for them. We'll talk about this team as we go along. 4-10, 0-3 in the American. Foreman, Emerson, Tiona Campbell, Destiny Tejada, Yasmin Thompson, the starting five for the interim head coach for the Houston Cougars, Wade Scott. This will be his 4th game at the helm of Houston. The starting lineups brought to you by Bob's Discount Furniture. Took over December 21st after serving 8 seasons as an assistant coach for the Cougars. Houston in the road red, UConn in the familiar home white. Dennis DeMeo, Joanne Aldrich, Kulani Spurlock, our officiating crew. The ball is in the air. The tip is controlled by the Huskies, and we're underway here at Gampel. And right away, a turnover. A steal reaching in. Yasmin Thompson has it knocked away from behind. Lost out of bounds by Stewart. It will be Houston basketball.
Really good anticipation that time defensively by the Cougars, stepping in and stealing that ball.
Foreman triggers the inbound. Diana Campbell's the leading scorer for Houston, number 32, averaging a little bit better than 10 points a game. Foreman leading the team in assists at 2.5 a game. She's got the basketball up top. Now Campbell drops it in low. Thompson, good move to the basket, and an early lead for Houston.
That was a really nice move. I thought she took an extra step, but that was a fine move.
Stephanie Dolson from outside. Too strong. Hartley, the offensive rebound, and they'll reset with Jefferson up top.
Well, the thing that Wade Scott told us before the game is that he wanted his kids to come out and not look at UConn across the Huskies shirts. Just look at them as college basketball players.
But when you've got your 6'4" leading scorer extending from outside, a 35% three-point shooter, it's tough not to get caught up. And then when Mariah Jefferson comes flying in with her blazing speed, that's something you can't prepare for. And just like that, there's that phrase again.
Absolutely.
It's 5 quick points for the Huskies.
And it's all started from the defensive end.
A block by Stewart. Knocked down of bounds. It'll be Houston basketball. That is block number 41 for Stewart.
And that was a nice take by Campbell, but it's those long arms of Stewart with yet another block.
Tejada, good move. There's a block by Dolson. 3 of the top 4 shot blockers in the American play for the Huskies. Jefferson to Stewart. Thompson the rebound.
You know, she faded away. Did she get bumped, Stewart? Probably, but you know what? That's why you got to go strong there. And then you draw the foul and get some free throws.
Jefferson steps in. 2 more. Mariah with a hard tumble, hit the basket support very hard, and she's slow to return to the play. Now jogging back across half court. 4 points for Jefferson. Let's watch the steal, but then keep an eye on her on the follow-through.
How about the anticipation to steal it with 2 hands?
I don't think she was bumped. I think she just went in with so much speed
exactly.
that the only way to
Her
stop.
momentum took her forward into the basket support.
Huskies get a stop. Stewart running the floor, lays it in. Wade Scott said that he likes to let his team, as he's figuring out the different view, 1 seat down with this program, that he likes them to work through the runs. And we asked him, would you call a quick timeout? Well, he's going to call a timeout right now. He said that, you know, he likes to let the team work it out unless they get that look on their eyes.
That blank stare.
I think he saw that look. Huskies on the run, 9-0 run for UConn.
Well, there again, another nice block, and Dolson, the presence of mind to come up with the ball, and Jefferson doing such a nice job of running the show here. And Stewart runs the floor tremendously well for a 6'4" center. So athletic, so mobile.
So the first timeout called by Houston as the Huskies rolling against this Cougar team that was picked to finish last in the preseason American poll. In the last 3 games for Houston, they've had good first halves, but in the second halves combined in those 3 games, they've shot 25%.
Well, yeah, I'm sure it's a combination of fatigue, you know, mental toughness. And they also played Rutgers in that last game. They had a 19-18 lead at the half, and just Rutgers took over in the second half.
Stewart scores 68-47 was that final score, the win for the Scarlet Knights.
The rack is not an easy place to play.
No, nor is Gamble when UConn's turning you over like that. Jefferson, Kalina Mosqueda-Lewis. Looked great coming off her hand, didn't it?
So smooth.
She found her shot against Memphis, 21 points, 5 of 10 from outside the 3-point line.
And how about the play of Mariah Jefferson early? I don't know if it's because she knows most of the Houston Cougars from her high school days in Texas or what, but my goodness, does she look like the point guard on this team, the true leader running the show.
A 14-0 run for the Huskies. Lewis almost got a hand on that one. Stewart definitely got a hand on it. Another block shot for Brianna. Another fast break for the Huskies.
Too unselfish.
But no field goal that trip.
I mean, how can you yell at someone for being too unselfish, right?
You just did. I think you've been
It's more yelling at you, not at her.
Sorry I had that effect on you. Here's Mariah Jefferson. This time she's fouled. A blocking foul called on Houston's Destiny Tejada. So that will send Mariah Jefferson to the free throw line, where she has been outstanding this season at 82%. You see her shooting numbers overall, and Meg at 54% from the field. This is someone who has not been very effective from outside the three-point arc. In fact, I did the math, and as I always say, if I'm doing the math, someone needs to check me. But her field goal breakdown, she's shooting 24% on three-pointers, but 66% inside the three-point line. And it's easy to see why she's shooting so high. She takes it to the basket. She usually is able to get a half step,
Absolutely.
2 steps on someone.
Really, you're right, she's getting high percentage shots, but she's also putting herself in great positions and making great decisions.
How about that block by Stephanie Dolson? Jefferson pulls up. Mosqueda-Lewis, another open 3. Dolson kept it alive. Houston fighting on the glass for the rebound.
And fight is the word. Houston is an undersized team. Rebounds are a tough thing for them to grab tonight against the taller Huskies, but they can do it.
The feed to Jefferson. Mosqueda-Lewis will find Dolson, and now Bria Hartley, another open look. Tipped into the hands of Mosqueda-Lewis, the layup for Dolson.
A heads-up pass from Mosqueda-Lewis. Houston looking a little tired.
18-0 run. Alicia Smith skips into the corner, open look. Three-pointer is good from Marche Emerson. 23% typically from outside the three-point line, and that ends the run at 18 for the Huskies. Foul on the other end will get us to our first media timeout, with the Huskies on top 18-5, doing it on both ends of the floor defensively with Dolson and Stewart. Big lead early for UConn. Welcome back to Gamble Pavilion, the first meeting all time between UConn and Houston. 18-5, Huskies on top in the early going. Told you a moment ago, Brianna Stewart, the honor from USA Basketball, the Female Athlete of the Year. You see the numbers, and we've seen her at work here in the first 5 minutes plus of the first half on both ends of the court, Meg.
Well, again, her athleticism, and I love how hard she works without the basketball in the lane. And then the great up and under. Maybe she learned some of that in that international basketball she was playing, but the anticipation to block that shot. She is so talented, and The best thing about her, aside from the fact that she's a sophomore, is that she just wants to continue to work and get better.
Stewart at the free throw line making the first. She is second in the conference in block shots. Kia Stokes third, Stephanie Dolson fourth. Add it all together, and the University of Connecticut #1 in the country when it comes to block shots.
UConn has been in a zone defensively this whole first half. It's a good opportunity to work on some things.
Foreman back into the game. 8 on the shot clock. Now for Houston. Jessica Palmer into the game. Deep three. Took just about everything Alicia Smith had in the tank to get that one to the rim. Off the mark. Now Hartley steps into a three. That's no good. Mosqueda Lewis with the rebound. Mariah Jefferson works it inside. Back outside Mosqueda Lewis. Huskies continue to try to find the open shooter. It's Mariah Jefferson who can't hit.
Nice boxing out there by Houston. Only red jerseys on the inside.
Jefferson defending Demetria Foreman, junior from Irving, Texas. Can't get it. The rebound for Dolson. Jefferson, Mosqueda Lewis sets for three. Huskies going a little cold here from outside the three-point line. As a team, first in the conference at 34%. They were very good against Memphis, 8 of 19. And now another steal, another chance for Stewart. 2 more.
She grimaced after she shot that. And she leaned against the basket support. I don't know if she tweaked an ankle or something.
11 points now for Stewart. Keep an eye on her, see if she's able to move all right. UConn going to the bench, next dead ball. Rebound for Dolson. Stewart can't get it, but she'll go to the free throw line. Let's keep an eye on Breanna Stewart, the previous trip.
Well, again, phenomenal anticipation. And Stewart was off to the races. Yeah, looks like, I don't know if it was the right side, the right leg that she pulled up. But wisely, didn't look over at the bench. And obviously, it's not that bad. But if you look over at the bench, there's a chance you're going to come out. So
that's the tell.
Yeah.
Mariah Jefferson comes out of the game as Morgan Tuck comes in. Kia Stokes, I believe, will come in for Stewart. Yes, Stewart makes it, and here comes Kia Stokes. So Stewart sits down. 13 points already for Breanna, averaging 18 points a game, third in the conference. Turnover. Mosqueda Lewis has it knocked out of her hands. 5 steals for Connecticut, 6 block shots so far defensively for UConn.
Impressive work on the defensive end, particularly since they're playing a lot of zone.
There's a 3 from Morgan Tuck. It's funny, just a few minutes ago, I believe someone as part of this broadcast team was talking about the improvement from Morgan Tuck and how she's been working. Some expert analysis right there. But if that three-pointer is there, and it hasn't been so far, she's now 5 of 14 on the season, but it's all part of getting into rhythm.
Absolutely. You know, and it's just reps in practice. And through those reps in practice is how you get your confidence back. And we saw it at SMU, or rather at Memphis on Sunday, on Saturday, and here she is tonight, starting just where she left off.
Hartley, Mosqueda Lewis lets it go for 3. 6 points for Kalina Mosqueda Lewis, averaging 12 a game, coming off that 21 point, 6 rebound, 4 assist performance against Memphis. Another block for Connecticut. Dolson gets this one.
And you see the Mosqueda Lewis, the brace on her elbow. Kareth just did some great investigative work for us and found out that she wanted to take it off, but Doc Trojan said to keep it on one more day.
14-0 run for UConn as Tuck scores on the inside. So something tells me that The doctor is not on Kalina's favorite people right now, but she was saying to Kareth after the game at Memphis how anxious she was to get that stabilizing brace off.
But Dr. Trojan is an outstanding physician, and he'll only do the right thing for her.
Three-pointer off the mark, delivered by Emerson. One and done for Houston as Hartley moves it towards the middle. Another open look. Mosqueda Lewis short on that one, and Tuck with the offensive rebound. UConn plus 10 on the glass so far. Stokes, Dolson sealed off her defender, turned easily for two. Another great pass from Kia Stokes.
Well, that to me was the best part of the play, and not to discount what Dolson did and to establish that position, but Kia Stokes threw that ball exactly where it needed to go, away from the defense, leading Steph right to the turn.
You see the run, how it continues. 4 minutes plus, and it'll be UConn ball when we come back. They had an 18-0 run earlier. Now it's a 14-0 run, and just like that, it's 34-5 Connecticut. Huskies on a roll, 34-5. Not yet at the halfway point of the first half. I did not do the math on this one, but I've been told it is accurate. This is the 22nd double-digit to 0 run. For example, they've had an 18-0 run, a 16-0 run so far in this game. So they've been on runs.
Credit John DeMarco for some great work.
Yes, John's math is very good. We can confirm that. You know who else is very good? Kareth Burke. She's brought to us by Honda. Hi, Kareth.
Hey there. If you want more numbers, I've got one for you. Stephanie Dolson closing in on 1,000 career rebounds. Once she notches that total, she'll be the 5th Husky in the club with 1,000 points and 1,000 rebounds. Another Husky in that club is Rebecca Lobo. So I asked Lobo, how does a big girl work on her rebounding? At 6'5", Stephanie makes it look so easy. And Lobo said it starts with effort. Last season, Steph was content to rebound the balls in her area. This season, you'll notice Steph is more of an aggressor, chasing down the rebounds to assert her presence. Now, Stephanie did lead the team in rebounding last season with 7.1 per game. This season, though, she's leading the team with 10.1 per game, simply because she wanted to focus more on that part of her game. Eric?
Garrett, thank you very much. Three-pointer made by Morgan Tuck. She has 8 points. The run continues for the Huskies with Brianna Banks and Sanaya Chong now into the game. So it's Tuck, Stokes, Dolson, Chong, and Banks, the 5 on the floor for the University of Connecticut. We are at the 10-minute mark of the first half, and the Huskies are on top 37-5. And Morgan Tuck, not this time. There's Dolson with the rebound and in with the left hand. I beg your pardon, Kia Stokes.
How about that rebound by Kia Stokes? I just love the effort by Stokes.
Well, that goes back to what Kareth was talking about with Stephanie Dolson. Timeout given to Houston here. You know, Kia Stokes is 6'3", Brianna Stewart 6'4", Stephanie Dolson 6'5". It would be easy just to rely on your reach and your height just to have rebounds come to you, but you know rebounding, the percentage breakdown is what, 80-20 effort
right.
to size?
And there, she just wanted it more. Yeah, she had some height advantage, but that's what you want to see with someone as talented as Kia Stokes. Create those opportunities, go hard to the basket, rip the board, and get the easy two for the putback.
39-5 timeout by Houston. Huskies on a 21-0 run. I mentioned before that the Huskies are first in the country in block shots. They already have 7 in this game. 14th in scoring, first in scoring margin, 3rd in shooting at better than 50%, and taking care of the basketball and sharing the basketball.
Oh, 84 points a game gets you 14? Wow, I guess these new rules are letting more offense happen in the women's game.
Defense is optional at some places, but not here in stores, that's for sure. That's why scoring margin is number 1, and a turnover here for Houston. That is number 9. UConn is forcing 18 turnovers a game, and we saw against Memphis specifically, but we've seen it all season long, turning those turnovers into points. It was 34-6 points off turnovers in favor of the Huskies Saturday.
I mean, it's bad enough to turn it over, as Chong does here.
Rare turnover for her, just the 12th she's had in this her freshman season. Brianna Stewart back into the game for UConn. Stokes fighting for the rebound, couldn't get it. Batted around, good fight by Tejada for Houston. Houston just trying to find an uncontested shot, and that has been very hard to find here for the Cougars. Stewart. Tyler Gilbert, sophomore, into the game for Houston. She was in the middle of things on that rebound. Here's an open look for Smith. And Houston hasn't had many of them, like we just said, Meg, but we're going to pull the trigger quickly if there's no one within 5 feet.
Well, yeah, I think they're just looking for the first opportunity to get a look at the basket.
Sanaya Chong makes her first field goal attempt. Now 9 for 15 on her first shot from the field this season.
You know, it's pretty common in women's basketball. With a team like Houston, who doesn't have experience playing against a team like Connecticut, it's easy to have your offense break down because you think, well, what can we do? Everywhere we go, there's a white jersey and a hand in our face.
Tough shot there, though, from Foreman, who gets on the score sheet, averaging 6 points a game.
And she'll take it since she's averaging 18% from three-point range. She likes her odds here in Gamble.
Feed inside 2 more for Morgan Tuck. She's into double figures now with 10. Tuck with 10, Stewart with 13 to pace the Huskies. And knocked out of bounds. It'll be Houston basketball, but we're at our 8-minute media timeout. Huskies on top 44-10 to 11 first half. UConn on top 44-11. They've been getting some open looks because they've been doing it with teamwork. Time for the teamwork replay breakdown presented by Chevy as the Huskies move it around trying to find the best option. In this case, it was Sanaya Chong.
Well, it's spacing, it's knowing where your teammates are, it's recognition. Defense not knowing where Chong was. And boy, is her release quick.
Sanaya now 5 for her last 10 on three-pointers over the last 4 games. UConn shooting 61% from the floor. Houston 22%. It's Cougars basketball. UConn with 11 assists.
Well, they are at their best when they share the ball.
That won't go. The rebound could be controlled by Stokes. Houston basketball. Campbell. UConn just swarming. Campbell has to take a deep 3.
Of course it got stuck. See, that was a problem in the old days. Not a problem now when you got someone like Brianna Stewart.
To get it down, yes. Possession arrow is the call when it gets wedged like that, and the arrow pointing Houston's way. So it's Cougars basketball. Morgan Tuck heads out, as does Kia Stokes. Mosqueda Lewis and Hartley back in for UConn. Tejada steps back, can't get it. Knocked out of bounds, last touch by the Cougars. UConn basketball. So Chong looks over for the call from the UConn bench, and the Huskies go to work here. And they turn it over. 4th turnover for UConn. It results in points from Alicia Smith.
That turnover by Mosqueda Lewis will make, regardless of the score, will make Gino Auriemma obviously very unhappy.
Stewart to Banks. Banks.
Because believe it or not, Gino doesn't even look at the score. He doesn't pay attention, and so. And is he going to get that upset? No, but you know, you can't have those mental lapses where you throw it right to the other player. If she makes a great play there, like, hey, that was a really nice move by Campbell. You can handle those things, you know, but the senseless turnovers are things that he takes really to heart.
Hartley to Stewart. Left open, that's usually a problem. 15 points now for Stewart. She is 5 of 7 from the floor. Houston now trying to work it around. Foreman got free, couldn't get it, and Mosqueda Lewis with the rebound.
Yeah, that was a nice pump fake by Foreman.
Hartley all the way to the basket. And a foul called on Houston as Brianna Stewart was trying to get to the rebound.
Well, there, Stewart set the screen. Banks cut hard. And when you set a good screen, you're always open. So then she got herself open and then threw the great pass down low to Banks.
Sanaya Chong will head to the bench as Moriah Jefferson comes back in. For Hartley. Banks will try a three. Foreman pushes it up with less than 5 to go in the first half for the top-ranked Huskies. That drive to the basket from Tyler Gilbert. Her first points, averaging 4 a game. Jefferson, Banks, Stewart, yes.
When she gets in a rhythm, it's just silly.
I'd say she's in it. Right from the very start. And there's a block. She's been in rhythm from both ends of the floor, too. Remember the early block shot set the tone as UConn went on an early 18-0 run. On the run here and pulling up is Hartley. Hartley has her first points. That's 9 different scores now for UConn as we approach 4 minutes to go in the first half. Gilbert got an elbow up on Stewart. She caught that one flush. Nothing called, and Gilbert's just going to lay it in, and they'll stop play. I mean, that was a hard enough hit that you have to see if the dentist needs to be called here, because she took it and ran right to the basket support. Well, she's okay. Got it in the jaw more than the teeth. I hear laughter on the bench over on the UConn side of the court. Seemed to be a pretty good shot. Yep. Must have been a hockey player in her Syracuse days, right? Just get back up, you're ready to play. Back up to this. Coming up, join Gary and Kara for first half highlights analysis and take a TV timeout with Moriah Jefferson to find out which teammate she thinks would make the best coach on the UConn Women's Basketball Halftime Show presented by Mazda. It's coming up only on SNY. Well, just a moment ago, this was a shot to the mouth. No foul was called here on Gilbert as she turned in, clearly made contact.
Yeah, that's surprising that a foul's not called. And you can see her head flop back with that elbow to the right to the chin.
I'm going to make a request here to Kareth, who will talk to Gino Auriemma walking off at the end of the half. Someone said something to make everyone laugh. Was it Brianna saying something to the bench? Because Gino was laughing as well, so maybe Kareth could work that in.
I don't know if Dennis DeMeo was involved.
Well, maybe that's why. It could have been a laugh not at Brianna's expense, but maybe why wasn't that foul call? UConn getting their hands on just about every trip up the floor here for Houston. And it's something that we have talked about quite a bit this year. We'll continue to talk about it as we move through conference play. As we talk to the coaches who are playing UConn for the first time, they can tell their team what to expect.
There's no
way. You can't practice it, and you don't experience it until you're toe-to-toe on the court.
Yeah,
the speed, the size, everything.
There's no way to simulate it in practice. You know, that's why UConn plays against guys every day. Because generally speaking, they're bigger, they're quicker, and they're stronger. And it helps them to get quicker and stronger.
That three won't go. Stephanie Dolson has it for Bria Hartley. Almost a turnover there from Dolson. Now Stewart. It's her night, but not this time. Tipped away by Mosqueda Lewis. Hard collision with Hartley. They bang knees, it would appear, but they're okay. Huskies have Hartley, Jefferson, Mosqueda Lewis, Dolson, and Stewart on the floor with less than 2.5 to play in the first half. Hartley goes behind the back, drops it back from Mosqueda Lewis. Tapped away. Talk about desire. Talk about not playing the scoreboard. There's Stephanie Dolson diving out of bounds, trying to save it for the Huskies.
And you know, you may ask, okay, UConn's up 52-19. Why is Dolson in the game? Well, they don't have many post players to go to the bench. She's been in and out. Stokes is coming in for Stewart, but they got Tuck on the bench, and that's it.
Stewart goes to the bench, still grabbing at that jaw that took an elbow a couple of moments ago. Kia Stokes back in for UConn. Two minutes to go, first half. Tejada. Smith can't get it to go. Mosqueda Lewis with the rebound, and Hartley will bring it across half court. Mazda halftime show just a couple of minutes away. Plenty to talk about with Gary and Kara in the studio after a couple of big runs by the Huskies. Stretched the lead out early here against Houston. Mosqueda Lewis saves it, 7 to shoot. Hartley wasting no time. Tejada the rebound.
Really good box at that time by Alicia Smith. They've done a good job of finding the jerseys, those white jerseys, and putting a body on them.
Foreman. Baseline Tejada. Marche Emerson. Thrown off of Stokes. It will be Houston basketball with 4 on the shot clock, 1 on the game clock. Tihana Campbell will come back in for Houston. Again, Campbell the top scorer for this Houston team coming in here today. 3 to shoot. Tejada's got to put it up. Makes the extra pass, and they say the shot did get released in time. Off the mark, last touch, Houston, UConn ball. Mariah Jefferson. Hartley for 2. UConn's gone cold here in the last couple of minutes of the first half. There's Mariah Jefferson knocking it out of play, and it was last touch by Houston. I think Mariah got a hand on that one as she ended up on the scores table.
And knocked over someone's, I think, water bottle. Now, Stewart trying to help clean it up.
Quick little cleanup for UConn as Jefferson will put it in place. Stewart on the bench here in the final minute of play of the first half. Shot clock is off. Marissa Ashton on the floor, trying to work against Dolson. Dolson to the left hand, wouldn't go for her. And Stokes, it's called for the foul.
Yeah, give Houston a lot of credit. They're boxing out now inside. And that forced that over the back call on Stokes.
2 team fouls on UConn. 2 seconds, 1 knocked away, and that will be the end of the first half. A couple of long runs for UConn put Houston in a hole early, and at halftime, the top-ranked UConn Huskies, looking for their 16th win of the season, leads Houston 52-19 as they return home to Gamble. An impressive first 20 minutes. Here's Kareth with Gino.
Gino, Brianna Stewart took an elbow to the jaw. What did you say to her over there to make her laugh?
I mean, I thought it was a good defensive play by her. You know, I thought she was in pretty good position, and I'm not crazy about the rule where, you know, it's a foul, offensive foul. I think that's what offensive players are supposed to do. Turn really hard like that, and you're supposed to stick your face in there. And I thought Stewie made a good play, and that's what I told her. I told her that that's something she needs to do a little more of, you know, like really square up aggressively. You know, but it's what happens when you try to play defense for the first time ever. You know, sometimes you get smacked in the face.
With a lead like this, Coach, what players might we see more of in the second half if you're going to try different player combinations?
Well, I thought in the first half we got a lot of people in at a good time in good spots, and they were all pretty productive. So I think in the second half we just try to get people in, maybe put them in some situations that they're not completely comfortable with and see how they do. But I like the way we did it in the first half.
Thank you, Gino.
Kara, thank you very much. Something tells me the joke was related to her playing defense, Brianna playing defense. Zinger from Gino heading out off the court here at halftime. UConn, impressive again, here back home on top 52-19. Mazda halftime report coming up next.
Halftime show, Gary Apple, Carol Walters back inside our New York City studios. All Huskies in that opening half. They lead 52-19. They shot 54% in the first half. Very efficient offensively, held Houston to 24% shooting. Was it more Connecticut being overpowering or Houston playing no defense?
It was a little of both. No defense, and they only shot 24%. Right. So it was that combination. But UConn doing a tremendous job. Their defense leading to their offense. Got a lot done that way, and everybody got involved. 9 players scored in the first half, and just a tremendous team effort. Their defense leads to their offense.
Well, Mariah Jefferson doesn't get talked about enough. She does play those passing lanes very well. Very well. She's so quick. I think she's one of the most improved from last season. I mean, to score in double figures and play the defense that she's done is phenomenal. Brianna Stewart, we see her gliding in right there. She led everybody in that opening half. She's got 17 points. 4 rebounds and 4 assists, and we discussed Brianna on our pregame broadcast, the continued maturation of this tremendous sophomore. I mean, and she right out of the gate, she shoots that three-pointer. She's so versatile. She runs the floor extremely well, so she gets it all done. She also has a great post move, but she shares the basketball as well. She's not forcing anything, and she just makes it look effortless. Talk about efficiency on the offensive end. Brianna Stewart is a shining example of that, and 10 blocks by Connecticut in that first half. They were simply dominant. As you mentioned, defensively, these first half stats are brought to you by Mazda and the rebounding edge, all Connecticut in that first half. And you could see they made a concerted effort to put bodies on people, which isn't easy. They played quite a bit of zone in the first half, and it's hard to rebound out of the zone, but you saw them do a really good job of that. 52-19, Connecticut has the lead at the break, on their way to their 16th consecutive win to open the season. And when we come back here on the Mazda Halftime Show, we'll take a look ahead to the second half. Plus, we'll get to know the aforementioned Mariah Jefferson a little bit better. That's ahead in just a moment. For point guard Mariah Jefferson, the numbers up across the board from her freshman to her sophomore years. We get a look at her numbers. They're brought to you by Mazda. That's Mariah on the court. What about off the court? We get a look here.
We all know what to do. I'm not sure if anybody can actually handle that because we all will be like, just shut up, just do it, you know? Maybe Steph, because her personality, she's like outgoing and she could probably reach out to the teams better than a lot of us could. Probably a soccer match. It doesn't matter what team. I love soccer. Like, that was my first love. But I couldn't play anymore just for like other reasons. So, but yeah, I'll probably go with soccer. My coach, Coach Marcus Jackson, he passed away a few years ago. And he told me, always work hard, because when you're not working hard, somebody else is. So, like, when I have to wake up for 6 a.m., their 5:30 alarm goes off, I'm like, oh, I don't want to get up. And I kind of hear those words replay, like, somebody else is sleeping, so get up and work while they're sleeping.
And more from Mariah Jefferson tonight on the Gino Oriema Show. It airs immediately following our post-game show. And time now for What's Brewing, brought to you by Dunkin' Donuts. And here's a look ahead at the Connecticut schedule. And there is Baylor, number 7 in America, coming up on Monday night. Carol Walters, what to expect
I think
in that game?
It will be refreshing for not only the women to play against Baylor, but the fans to see a good game.
Boy, did you say refreshing?
Yeah, why?
Just like Dunkin' Donuts?
Yeah, perfect.
The sponsor's going to love us tonight. 52-19, all Connecticut at the half, on their way to going 16-0 on the season. Eric Freed, Meg Como with all the second half action coming up after a break.
Our first half leaders presented by Samuel Adams, Brianna Stewart, Morgan Tuck combined for 10 of 14 shooting from the field. Kalina Mosqueda-Lewis knocked down a couple of three-pointers, and Mariah Jefferson 6 points as the Huskies lead 52-19 as we're ready to start the second half. Eric Freed, Meg Como back with you here courtside. Great runs for UConn, an 18-0 run, a 21-0 run, separation quickly from Houston in this game.
Well, we talk about it all the time, and it starts from the defensive end of the floor. But when you have someone like Brianna Stewart who can drain it from anywhere, they are one of her only 3 of the night so far. But the great up and under move, and then defensively, Steph Dolson was a machine on the defensive end of the floor. 6 blocks in 20 minutes. And when you start the break, get out on the run, Stewart to finish, you said those 17 points. She also had 4 blocks and 4 assists herself. Very productive.
Halftime stats presented by Cadillac. The 6 blocks for Steph Dolson, a new career high, 5 her previous career high, so she does it in a half. UConn with 17 assists on 20 first half field goals. They were a +9 in rebounding margin, and again, another big advantage when it comes to points off of turnovers. 34-6 advantage in the most recent game against Memphis. 19-4 here in the first half against Houston. The Cougars have lost 3 games in a row. They are 0-3 in the American, 4-10 overall. UConn 15-0, and they look like the #1 team in the country in that first half. Second half is underway. Stephanie Dolson. Mariah Jefferson tips it off to Brianna Stewart.
What a great pass.
That's
Heads
one to
up
remember.
tip, yeah, from Mariah Jefferson. Just continuing her outstanding play from the first half.
That is her 70th assist this season. She had 69 all of last year. Hartley, the rebound for Connecticut. Dolson. Got caught. She knew it. There's the look at the assist again.
Well, she's moving without the ball, but just such a heads-up play. Nice look from Dolson. I don't know what actually, I don't know what Dolson was what she was thinking. What is Mariah gonna do with it right there? The shortest player on the floor, but she figured out what to do with it.
That was just a great play. Knocked away by Stephanie Dolson. Another turnover. Mosqueda-Lewis had it knocked away, and a chance here for Houston on the run. Marche Emerson dropped back for Campbell. Count it. 2 points in the first half for Tiana Campbell. 4 now in the game. The leading scorer for Houston in the first half, Alicia Smith, with 5. Houston shot 23% from the floor in that opening half. Off the UConn miss, here's Foreman for Houston.
Yeah, we haven't seen a back cut like that in a while. Mosqueda-Lewis read the overplay well, just couldn't finish.
Another steal for UConn. Hartley drops it back for Stewart. Gets her own miss, and we'll go to the free throw line.
Not surprising that UConn looks a little cold right now, a little lethargic. You know, not going with the same zip that they did in the first half. And, you know, a little bit of it's human nature. It's 54-21. They're going to continue to play hard, but they are human.
They're going to say it's human nature. It's 9 degrees outside, so you can be cold, feel cold, and it can affect your game. Stewart now with 20. Hitting the 20-point mark for the 15th time in her career.
Human nature for Eskimos.
It is Eskimo cold here in stores, there's no doubt. can't get it. It's a rebound. Dolson kicked it. Houston basketball. It's the 10th time Houston has played a #1 team in program history. Hasn't gone well for the Cougars in the first 9 meetings. Jefferson with the rebound. Hartley took off. Foreman, good closing speed to pick it up for Houston. Thompson couldn't get it as Dolson was there defensively. Now Mariah Jefferson for the Huskies. Dolson had it knocked out of her hands. Now Hartley looks for Jefferson. Looks for Dolson. Another great assist for Mariah Jefferson.
She knew what she was going to do with that ball before she even caught it. Phenomenal pass from the sophomore point guard.
Ashton. Back for Campbell. The return to Ashton. They move it around, but Ashton can't finish, and Dolson has it for Jefferson. Hartley sets for 3. Whole first half for Bria Hartley. She was 1 for 6. She will not get this one, but she'll have a chance at the free throw line. Let's take you back to the assist from Mariah a moment ago.
Just moving, knowing what she wants to do. Dolson moving well without the ball, opens up. And the heads-up look from Mariah Jefferson. Just love her game this year.
Hartley at the free throw line. Connecticut perfect, 7 for 7 now at the line in this game. They were almost perfect last time out, 22 of 24 from the line. Ashton will sit down for Houston. Four free throws for Hartley. 60-21 UConn. Foreman. Attacking the basket. Grabbed by Dolson. Outlet to Jefferson, who wanted to give it to Hartley. Hartley didn't want the hot potato. Off the turnover. I think Dolson got a piece of that one, didn't she?
Yes, she did.
Hartley's got this one back the other way. Finds Kalina Mosqueda-Lewis. Steps inside for 2. That won't drop, though.
Yeah, she's been short quite a bit here tonight.
Smith, the leaner. Mosqueda-Lewis saves it for Hartley, and a traveling violation. Well, we're at our first media timeout. Meg is going to make her way around Gamble to see if there are any open doors and close them immediately. Back in a moment. You know, National College football season may have ended yesterday, but it's time to start thinking about next year. UConn football season tickets for 2014 are on sale now. Join new head coach Bob Diaco and the Huskies at Rentschler Field this fall. Go to UConnTickets.com. Here is tonight's UConn trivia question presented by Mercedes-Benz. Which 3 Huskies have been named USA Basketball Female Athlete of the Year? You saw the award for one of them before the game. That's why we encourage you to be with us right from the start. Well, now we're giving
it away.
Truck is feeling very generous, so there's one. Work on 2 over the next couple of minutes, and we'll get the answer to you in just a bit. Here's Sanaya Chong into the game with Brianna Banks. Kia Stokes in as well, and Morgan Tuck. So 4 new players on the floor for UConn. Hartley the only one sticking around. Stokes has it blocked on her way to the basket.
Not a lot of fouls have been called here tonight, letting them play. This looked like it could have been some contact, just a little.
What are the odds the officials left their cars running to keep them warm during the game? There's a 3 from Morgan Tuck. Well, if you're just joining us, Megan talked about it right at the top of the telecast, how Morgan showed signs against Memphis of returning to the form we saw last year. We know all about the knee problem this year. We've seen more of the same here today. She has a new season high with 13 points.
As you can tell, she's in her groove.
Three-pointer is good for Alicia Smith. She has 8 points to lead Houston in scoring. Morgan Tuck back to Hartley. Hartley, a little hesitation move to get free, 4-2.
That was a phenomenal move by Hartley, the spin move to get open, to get the ball. How unselfish. 21 assists on 24 field goals. That is good team basketball.
Go as far as saying great team basketball. Hartley, another hesitation move this time. The foul is called. Let's bring you tonight's drive of the game presented by Mazda.
She gives it up, spins away from the defense. He couldn't quite see it. There she goes. That's a big time play.
Hartley makes the first. Yasmin Thompson picking up the foul. Couple of more free throws for Hartley and the Huskies. Now 12 for 12 from the free throw line here this evening. Thompson, foul called on Kia Stokes.
The look on Kia's face, really?
Gino Auriemma told Kareth when heading off the court at halftime that different combinations put players into positions where maybe they're out of their comfort zone. Schedule ahead this week allows for some practice. They expect to practice, have full practices Thursday and Friday. There's that noon game Saturday in Bridgeport at Webster Bank Arena. Then the team will charter down to Texas, get set to take on Baylor in the last non-conference game of the season.
Yeah, and they need those days to practice. You know, playing on the road, only playing, on the road this past week, 2 games in 5 days, 6 days, only 5 games in the month of December. It's been a weird schedule for them.
Tuck tried to get it into Stokes. She couldn't reach that one. Turnover number 11 for UConn. Foreman needs help. Dropped it back and a block by Stokes. Into the hands of Thompson. Still 9 to shoot. Banks is called for the foul. Trying to take it away from Palmer.
This game has been pretty physical, but the refs are letting them go. Hartley got like tossed underneath the bucket in the middle of that possession. I guess no blood, no foul.
Here's Foreman. Banks chasing her again. Hartley went down. Stokes has the rebound. 3 Houston players. Can Kia get it out of trouble? She can to Hartley. Numbers back the other way now for UConn. Banks to Tuck for 2. Morgan keeps adding to her season high now with 15 points. Banks knocked that one away into the hands of Hartley. UConn can reach the 70-point mark this trip. 12:45 to go, second half.
She's carried the ball like 2 or 3 times this one possession alone.
Stokes off the window for 2. Well, I guess that could be a problem for Bria if she comes up on an official who's going to enforce it differently than other officials.
It got called on Saturday. I think it was Bill Titus who made the call. One of the game's great veteran officials.
6 on the shot clock. Palmer, 2 on the shot clock, 1. Won't go for, and the easy rebound for Kia Stokes. Inside of 12 to play now, as Sanaya Chong brings it across half court for the top-ranked Huskies, who have been in control. Houston scored the game's first 2 points. The Huskies went on an 18-0 run After that run was stopped, they would go on a 21-0 run to lead big at halftime, and they've stretched it out here in the second half. Foul called will get us to a timeout. 11:48 to go, second half. On Saturday, it's a home game for Fairfield County. Huskies will be in Bridgeport for an American Conference matchup against the Temple Owls. UConn women's basketball on SNY. UConn and Temple. Our coverage begins with pregame Saturday, 11:30 a.m. only on SNY. Memo to Gary and Kara, early wake-up call on Saturday. Back to our trivia question presented by Mercedes-Benz. Which 3 UConn Huskies have been named USA Basketball Female Athlete of the Year? Brianna Stewart, Diana Taurasi, Tina Charles, the usual cast of characters and usual suspects. It's not the first time for Stewart, as we showed you her receiving her award earlier here tonight.
Look at that, only 2 other players. Katie Smith back in 08, who had a great career at Ohio State, and Candace Wiggins from Stanford.
So Nia Chong at the free throw line. Rare miss for her. Came in 19 for 22 from the line. 72-26, Connecticut on top. Temple is 8-5 on the season, 2-1 in conference play. They're taking on USF tonight. Temple had an easy win over UCF, team that UConn played on New Year's Day last time out.
And don't forget, Temple coached by former UConn assistant Tanya Cardozo.
Another coaching alumni day coming up. After that whistle, we'll get a chance to check in with Kareth Burke. Kareth.
Eric, I had a chance to talk to Houston coach Wade Scott before this one, asking him, what is this like for your team? It's a cold weather road trip. You're looking for your first win in conference, and you're playing the #1 team in the country. He said, we just got to look at this as an opportunity. They have to consider UConn a faceless opponent and not look at the name on the jersey. Scott kind of likened that to playing the Yankees. Don't stare at the pinstripes. Now, as for the weather, there are 10 girls on this roster from Texas. A road trip to Omaha was the first time some of them saw snow. And yesterday, the Cougars had a snowball fight outside of the hotel to enjoy the cold a little bit, Eric.
Well, if you hang around here long enough, you know you don't have your snowball fights when it's 9 degrees outside. So they were smart to get it out of the way yesterday.
Snow is so cold today, it wouldn't even make the ball, I don't think.
And that's another thing of knowing the science of everything up here. You would not have a snowball fight in cold weather like that. Good point. Your analysis isn't limited to basketball.
There you go.
It's science, too. Stokes delivers again. Banks, Jefferson, Tuck, Stokes, Chong, the 5 on the floor for UConn. There's Campbell, won't go. She'll try, that's short. Stokes hauls it in for another rebound for Connecticut.
Yeah, this is an interesting lineup. Look at the backcourt. Mariah Jefferson, Brianna Banks, and Tuck with the nice finish inside.
Reversed by Morgan Tuck, 17. Her career high, 18. Came against Idaho in the first round of the NCAA tournament a year ago.
Well, you don't often see Chong, Banks, and Jefferson, the backcourt.
Foul called on Houston's Tejada. Good position by Chong.
Well, you know, the ball fake sold it, and then Tuck wide open. See, nice ball fake. The shot fake, and if you get the ball to Tuck inside, she will do something good with it.
So as assisted field goal ratios and numbers go, 24 assists on 27 field goals is...
That's remarkable.
That's pretty good. Tuck returns it to Chong. Chong returns it to Tuck. A new career high for Morgan Tuck. A 15-4 run for UConn, 19 points for the sophomore.
You know, and people say, well, what can UConn get out of a game like this? Well, some players can get a lot of confidence. There, Chong and Tuck doing some good things. I saw a great smile on Sanaya Chong's face. You know, you can put good minutes out on the floor and get good things done as a team. That helps tremendously down the road.
Marche Emerson knocks down the 3. She has 6. Stokes. Banks feeds Tuck. Tuck was looking for the call. They play on.
Yeah, she was a little bit out of position when she took that shot.
Tejada. Emerson. Lying in on the glass is Campbell, but it's controlled by Connecticut. 8:45 to go, second half.
Yeah, the smallest player on the floor, Mariah Jefferson, tracks down that rebound.
Kicked over to Banks. Her three misses, but Stokes left alone to put in the easy two. Eight points, 8 rebounds, 3 assists, and a block for Kia Stokes off the bench for UConn tonight. Stokes will try from outside.
She's looked great from the minute she stepped on the floor tonight.
Double figures for the 9th time in her UConn career. You know, she had a good game against UCF, 4 points, 8 rebounds in 17 minutes. Kind of got lost in the shuffle in the Memphis game. Didn't score, picked up a couple of rebounds, but you're right, Megan. She has been noticeable from the start here. Numbers for UConn. Banks to Jefferson, lost the handle and turned it over. That 3-on-1 didn't work out the way they would like to draw it up, but just about everything else has been working out the way they drew it up. Sean to Tuck. UConn update. Tonight after our post-game coverage on the Gino Auriemma Show presented by AT&T Uverse, Gino talks about 2 of UConn's best, Brianna Stewart and Diana Taurasi, plus how practice makes perfect for the Huskies. Here's a preview.
Usually it's whether the coaching staff was able to drag out a great practice out of them.
Why didn't you guys just pass the ball back and forth to each other instead of just running down here? That's right, because you weren't told.
When everybody's working together, you know, the coaches and the players, and the energy level's high, and things are getting done, and you're moving on, one thing to another, quickly. Those 2 hours, they go flying by.
Together, 1, 2, 3. Yeah!
It's a great look into what is the toughest part of the week for these players, Meg, and that's practice.
Yeah.
And you've been a part of it as a coach and as a player.
Well, and you know, Gino lives for practice. He loves it. And he makes practice so incredibly difficult that the players always think, gosh, games are easier than practice because, you know, he's got 7 and 8 guys playing again. You know, it's 5-on-7, 5-on-8. He puts you down, you know, in scrimmages. The clock is winding down. You're losing. You got to come back and win.
Brianna Stewart back into the game along with Stephanie Dolson, and it's a putback for Stewart.
But he just puts... His whole point is to put you into impossible situations that you really have very little chance of succeeding, but it's more important for you to fight through that adversity and keep your head.
What's a typical practice like? Gino just mentioned it, 2 hours, and when it's clicking, it flies by. It's high intensity. You come ready to work.
It changes. In the beginning of the year, the practices are longer, but as the season goes on there, you see Dolson finishes down low. As the season goes on, the practices have to get shorter just to conserve their bodies.
That 3 from the corner is no good. There's Jefferson knocking into the air. Sanaya Chong comes away. Chong will pull up. Too strong. Batted out by Stewart. Here's Brianna Banks. Dolson makes the extra pass. Stewart's shot is blocked. Mae Woods, senior, has come into the game. She's number 25 for Houston. That's Foreman. Her 3 is missed. Tapped into the hands of Banks. Banks the feed inside, and Stewart will head to the free throw line. 23 points for Stewart.
Oh, she got a bloody nose?
She got a shot to the jaw earlier, maybe more the lip here.
She definitely got popped somewhere. A little forearm to the face. She's had quite a night. What is this, UFC?
You kind of pay a high price if you're going to be the leading scorer in this game. 24 points. Short, but there is Banks for the rebound. Dolson to Chong. Chong, nifty little hesitation to try for two.
How about that change of direction? Wow.
6 points now for Sanaya. Foreman's pull-up blocked by Chong. Back to the hands of Foreman. UConn once again not playing the scoreboard. Clean block by Stewart. Houston ball.
I mean, imagine if you're Houston, you feel like you're playing against an octopus. These long tentacles out there just blocking every shot that goes up.
Stewart checks out. Nice round of applause from the crowd here, appreciating the work on both ends of the floor. Kia Stokes into the game for the Huskies. Tierney Lawler will check in next dead ball for UConn. 15 blocks tonight for UConn. That is a new season high. The third highest total for a game in UConn history. Eight on the shot clock as Dolson finds Jefferson. Stokes, 2 on the shot clock. Chong caught the rim. Dolson gets the rebound, and UConn will run some clock. Mariah Jefferson. Jefferson drops it down to Dolson. Stokes tried to keep it alive, couldn't hold on to it. And it'll be Houston basketball. Mariah Jefferson checks out as Tierney Lawler comes in. Take a look at the upcoming schedule presented by Subaru of New England. We talked about the Temple matchup coming up. Our coverage begins 11:30 Saturday morning from Bridgeport here on SNY, and then nationally ranked Baylor on the road. Banks with a steal for UConn. Chong back up top. Dolson's been a while since she tried a three. That won't go, and it'll be Houston basketball. That will get us to a timeout with 3:45 to go in the second half, and the Huskies cruise control on top. Gary and Kara, thanks very much. We'll check in with you in just a few minutes. 3:45 to go in the second half. UConn on their way to another victory to improve to 16-0 on the season. Houston basketball out of the timeout. Kalina Mosqueda-Lewis has come back in for UConn. Chong, Banks, Mosqueda-Lewis, Stokes, Lawler, the 5 on the floor for Connecticut. And that's a 3 for Emerson, her third three-pointer of the evening. She has 9 points to lead Houston in scoring. For Brianna Banks. Knocked away. And that will be a shot clock violation. And Houston basketball.
Good defensive sequence that time by Houston.
Sorry, Meg, as you look at the 5 on the floor right now, who's your point guard? Sanaya Chong?
Yes.
Saw Kalina Mosqueda-Lewis on the ball a little bit as well. Banks on the ball. I mean, this is another one of those combinations that I don't think we've seen.
Right.
Maybe you want to see how the freshman runs the show a little bit.
Absolutely.
Tough take. She'll go to the free throw line.
And Mosqueda-Lewis is a post player playing down low, the backside of that defense.
Tonight's People's United Bank player of the game is Brianna Stewart, 24 points, 9 rebounds, 6 block shots. But I'm sorry, Brianna, those 6 blocks don't take team high honors tonight because Stephanie Dolson has 7. Part of 15 blocks, a season high for UConn. And not included in that graphic was the fact that Brianna took a couple of shots across the jaw tonight.
She did.
So she paid the price. Here comes Mosqueda-Lewis out of the game. checking in.
Yeah, nice ovation from the crowd who braved this cold weather.
Brianna Polito has come on. That's it for Mosqueda Lewis on the night. She finishes with 6 points. Chong. Polito on the pull-up. It was halfway down, and it was knocked out of bounds by Stokes. UConn will come back the other end, play some defense. Take a look at the UConn scoring leaders tonight. Career high for Morgan Tuck with 19 points. She was 4 of 5 from the field in the first half. Scored 10 points in 6 minutes of play. I'd say she was pretty effective.
No question about it. She really adds another dimension to this team, as I believe Polito is going to be called for that foul.
One has a foul, one has jump ball.
Oh, a jump ball.
Officials, and it will be Houston ball.
You know, and there's going to be that question that we've been asking each other, Eric, is who in the UConn backcourt is going to stop another team's scoring guard? As on cue, a guard scores for Houston.
Smith knocks down the 3. She has 11 points. Who's going to be that lockdown defender on the perimeter?
Absolutely.
Is that what you're
That's
thinking?
yeah. Who is that going to be? You know, Odyssey Sims on Monday for Baylor. Who's going to stop her?
Who would your choice be? And that person may not have developed, obviously
Right.
has not developed in that role, but who do you think?
Maybe Brianna Banks. You know, no one else has proven to step up to do it. We haven't seen anybody. You know, maybe Morgan Tuck can be like Tamika Williams was back in the day. You know, Kelly Farris guarded everybody. She guarded post players. You know, I don't think it's Bria Hartley. Mariah, I think, is too small. I don't think Mosqueda Lewis is quick enough. You know, they played a lot of zone here tonight. Maybe they're going to go zone.
Or maybe Kia Stokes will just jump out on the perimeter and get block shots.
Why
at the
not?
3-point line. 1:20 to go.
You know, maybe Chong, as she turns it over.
Freeman out of control. Stepped down the baseline.
Oh,
and
it's
put
too
her foot
bad,
on the
because that was a
baseline.
great steal.
Yep, she was battling. Houston battling here right to the final horn.
She just was moving too fast and got tripped up on the court.
Banks for Chong. That's off, and the rebound for Houston. Final minute of play. Huskies did trail in this game, 2-0. They then scored the game's next 18 points. People are like laughing in my ear here. I'm just speaking
Imagine
fact. I'm speaking fact here.
It's good to know they fought back.
Now you're taking a dig at me.
Well, I would never.
Polito, that won't go. And a foul called on UConn with 33.3 to go.
Hey, Houston can do what Memphis and UCF did and take a picture of the scoreboard and then tweet it.
That's right. That ball comes free. Shot clock is off. Houston looking for a final hoop here. Anderson will get it. 17 block shots. The Huskies dialing up the defense, and in the end, they win by an even 50-90-40, the final. They really got things going off that defense. Points off turnovers were big in the first half. Huskies led 52-19 at the break, and they improved to 16-0 on the season, 4-0 in conference play, with a 90-40 victory over the Houston Cougars. 17 block shots, one of the highlights for the Huskies here today. Also 28 assists. Great teamwork and some friends catching up at the end of things here and catching up with the fans at Gamble Pavilion after another win for the UConn Huskies. Here is Gina Oriema with Karen.
Well, Gino, every one of your scholarship players had 14 or more minutes. In addition to those minutes, what do you see your players getting out of a game like this?
Well, I thought the first half especially, I thought we got better as a team, and I think we got better as individuals because we were able to do some things and get involved, not just because, you know, Houston was overmatched, I think, obviously, but not, you know, sometimes there's no defense when we come out here and practice, and we don't look as sharp as we did today in that first half. So I'm glad the people got, you know, out on the court, got a chance to do some things, and I'm sure that, you know, they're pretty happy with the way they played. So, you know, that's what we want to do, build some confidence.
And confidence when it comes to Morgan Tuck. She had 19 points, a new career high. How do you see her making the most of her minutes lately?
Well, you know, for most people, confidence is a big, big thing, you know, and Morgan, I think, lost a little bit of it, being out 5 weeks and not having a chance to practice and play. And then she came back and struggled a little bit. So we were really, really hoping that she would make a couple shots, get a little bit of confidence back. And obviously, we're a much better team when Morgan's playing like that. And as you saw tonight, that she does a little bit of everything to help you. And I'm thrilled for her.
It felt like those 19 points came quietly, too. Does she do everything quietly?
Pretty much. I think sometimes you kind of forget about her. You know, Stewie's kind of loud, and Stephanie the same thing, and Kay, you know, and Bria. You know, we got a lot of guys that make a lot of things happen, but I think it fits her personality. She's very quiet, very reserved, and you know, today was kind of hopefully a breakout for the second half of the season.
Thank you.
You know, it doesn't seem like a team that needs a confidence boost, but there was something to that. And we will talk more about this win for the Huskies, 90-40, when we come back. A 90-40 victory for the UConn Huskies came together. 52 first half points. UConn shooting 50% from the floor. That's right on their season average. Blocks, 17 for UConn. That ties a team record. Rebounds, plus 18 in rebounding margin. Kia Stokes had a double-double with 10 and 10. Brianna Stewart had 24 points, 9 rebounds, 6 blocks, and Morgan Tuck a career-high 19 points on 8 of 10 shooting, including 3 three-pointers. Eric and Meg back with you here courtside at Gamble Pavilion. Very impressive for UConn as they went on 2 big runs in the first half. An 18-0 run followed by a 21-0 run. Really stretched things out. And UConn and their coaching staff able to tinker a little bit as the second half progressed.
Yeah, they could. Gino, who's really struggled at times, he even said, with putting the right matchups together in certain halves. Well, I think he was really happy with who he put together. But let's go back to who he started with. And Brianna Stewart, you know, she only took 2 threes, and I love all of the inside action she got. Not only scoring, but crashing, grabbing an offensive rebound and putting it up. And you can't say enough about the work of Morgan Tuck. We've talked about how much confidence she's gained tonight, and I mean, draining the 3 from long range. She was 3 for 4 from behind the arc. But don't forget about how potent she is inside with the little scoop. You know, that 19 career high. Well, that was done in 13 minutes.
That's pretty efficient, and UConn efficient as they take care of Houston by a final score of 90-40. 28 assists for the Huskies on 33 field goals.
Welcome you back inside our New York City studios. People's United Bank postgame show. Gary Apple, Kara Walters along with you. In Connecticut, they had averaged a 37-point differential in their 15 consecutive wins to open the season. They win by 50 tonight. They led by 33 at the half and then cruised from there. But let's begin talking about Brianna Stewart, because she did have those 24 points. And on a day where she was named USA Basketball's Female Athlete of the Year, and she backed that up in a very big way.
Well, of course, phenomenal. I mean, the way she's playing and her confidence just continues to grow, and she's doing it from so many different areas. A lot of her offense began with her defense, blocking shots. She had 6 blocks today. She had 9 rebounds to go along with those 24 points. She's also passing the ball extremely well. 4 assists for someone who had 24 points. So she's doing it all on all ends of the court, running the floor, post moves, threes. I mean, you name it, Stewie does it.
As a team, Connecticut very unselfish with the basketball. 28 assists on their 33 buckets. That has to make the head coach, Gino Auriemma, very happy. And speaking of Gino, I want to remind everybody, coming up bottom of the hour here on SNY, it is the Gino Auriemma Show. What about the defensive side of the basketball court? 17 blocks in the game for UConn.
I mean, huge. And they were all distributed. Everybody got involved. Steph and Kia and Brianna Stewart. And everybody got those touches. Good defense. When you know that you have shot blockers in the back row, you're not afraid to go out there and deny as a guard, because you know if you get beat, you have your help in the back. So that gives a lot of confidence for your teammates when you're blocking shots.
Also, a terrific night for Morgan Tuckin. Eric and Meg spoke about her just a few minutes ago, but the fact that she put up a new career high, and we've spoken about the fact that she's coming back, not just Kalina Mosqueda-Lewis coming back from the injury, but Morgan Tuck missed significant time. She missed 8 games as well, but she came into college with high acclaim, and now we're really beginning to see why that was the case.
They all came into UConn with high acclaim, and it's for a reason. These players could start on any other team in America, and Morgan has struggled a little bit coming off that injury as far as being quiet. And Gino even says, even with those 19 points in 13 minutes, she's still a quiet player. People are so focused on Kalina Mosqueda-Lewis and all the other people on the court. Well, you leave Morgan open, and look what she's capable of doing.
How good can she be?
Very good, because we saw her versatility. We talk about versatility again. She's a solid post player. She's a solid player, but then she stepped out. She had 3 threes on the night, and that makes her deadly again.
Yes, and what about the bench? I mean, we spoke about this on our pregame broadcast tonight, the fact that Gino wants to try new combinations and has the practice time to do it this week at a game like Houston tonight. Got a chance to see a lot of different combinations, and the bench got a lot of run.
Well, this was his practice time. I mean, that's how they use it. You know, no disrespect to the other teams, but they're way overmatched. So Gino uses nights like this to do that. He had several combinations in there. He played some zone. He tried so many different things out with different people. Now think of it. They play Baylor on Monday, not overlooking Temple at all, but this is a good game for him. He's excited that he had the opportunity to get all these players involved. If need be, on Monday, these players are needed. So it was a good opportunity to get things happening, and he's using all different lineups. I mean, it's scary. So, I mean, 2 out of the 3 double-point scorers were bench players. So, I mean, you think of that and what you have in your arsenal, and it's real scary.
It is indeed. 16-0 on the season, 4-0 now in the American Conference. As we head back to Gampo Pavilion, welcome back in Eric Freed and Meg Colmo. And Karen and I were talking about this, Meg, but, you know, in a game like this, especially running out to the big lead that Connecticut did, as a former player, how tough is it to keep your head in the game and keep charging it and keep attacking?
Well, if you don't want to run tomorrow in practice, you better keep running, right, Kara? Right?
Yes.
That little Italian guy standing over on the bench, he'll make your life pretty miserable. But, you know, it is, and I think, Kara, I think it's developed even more from certainly when I played, and even when you played. The culture around here today is really different. They don't let up. They never let up, and maybe because if they do, they know that it's going to be misery. But there's a focus about this team that I've noticed for quite a few years now. And this particular group, because they're mature, they've got a leadership. They have a lot of leadership and experience, senior class, junior class, and they just have a special chemistry about them.
And I'm sure it never changed from your time and Kara's time, but this group especially, they never play the scoreboard. You see them playing hard right to the final horn, which is a testament to get big crowds turning out. We saw big crowds on the road. You have to play like a number 1 team, and I always feel like they have played that way throughout every game for all 40 minutes, and I think we saw that again here tonight.
Huge game tonight from one of the bench players. Morgan Tuck has 19 points. Another bench player does extremely well tonight. Kia Stokes, double-double. How important is she moving forward?
Well, I mean, it's something with her confidence to see her grow, and it's tough to find mega minutes off the bench on this team, but everybody gets an opportunity. But when you see Kia play the way she did tonight, Meg, where she's in control on the glass, she's controlling things with the paint and the block shots, but also that confidence in her offensive game, that's the next piece to fall into place for her.
She played with a purpose tonight that I've seen it in spurts, And it's now more consistent with Kia Stokes in her game. I mean, 10 points, 10 boards. She did it in 21 minutes, really effective. You know, there's not that feeling of when she gets the ball, well, is she going to turn it over? What's she going to do with it? She's playing with a purpose, and it's fun to see her develop even more.
Before we go any further, I want to know, Kara, what is your personal record for block shots in a game? We saw 7 here tonight and a 6, and it doesn't include Holliston High School, okay?
I don't know. You're going to have to check in the record books. I'm not sure about that one.
Oh, stop. No way. You know exactly.
I can tell you 31 points in the Final Four against Stanford. I can tell you that,
against
but
Stanford.
I don't know my blocks.
I remember that.
Yeah, we know that one.
Trust me,
we hear it all
fellas,
the time.
she's got a list downstairs of all her career accomplishments. That,
it's all right here.
Guys,
I know. She's just playing a little coy.
What about the bench? And Gino has discussed this, and we spoke about it. You spoke about it. The fact that, you know, an opportunity to find some combinations and get the bench involved and see who can do what. What did you take out of the bench tonight?
I thought they were terrific.
Yeah.
I really did. I thought they came in, whether they were guards, post players, and they're pretty thin on the front line. But, you know, I thought Sanaya Chong came in and gave really good minutes. Brianna Banks, again, doesn't look like a kid who's coming off of an ACL injury last February. I think they continue to impress, and, you know, we've used a lot tonight the word confidence, but they just keep coming in, and they're going to need the next couple of days of practice to do it. But tonight was a great example of if you come in and play hard, good things will happen, and their chemistry is getting better.
38 of the 90 points came from the bench tonight for the University of Connecticut. And, you know, think about it, too. Kalina Mosqueda-Lewis was out for a period of time. Morgan Tuck was out for a period of time. So it's kind of mixing and matching there. But now you've got your full roster, and now roles are becoming more defined.
Yeah, and this is crunch time. I mean, they're going to play Temple Saturday, then they go at Baylor on Monday. So this is when you have to try to develop your core. You know who's going to come in. And Kara, you know this. Gino's a big guy of really wants to know what he's going to get from each of his players. He doesn't want it to be like a coin flip, like who's going to show up, who's going to do this. And in the past, some of these players did present that way, and I think things are leveling off for them.
I would think Gino would not tolerate such a thing. Eric and Meg, we thank you both. See you back here Saturday. Our pregame coverage getting underway at 11:30, and then the call of the game at noon as we bring it back in-house here. And really don't know how many blocks you had. I know you were very quick on those 31 points. I mean, no hesitation.
That's all I can give
31.
You. That's all I can give you.
Well, this was impressive tonight, though. I mean, they came out with their foot on the pedal right out of the gates.
They did, and we've talked so much about what the bench has done. And think about it. People like Stephanie Dolson, she didn't need to have a lot of points. She didn't need to. I mean, you have some great players, very unselfish players. They do what is needed of them, and that just wasn't needed of them tonight. But what was needed was great production from the bench, and Gino got that. I think he's got to be thrilled, everybody getting involved, tried a lot of combinations, and really kind of hit a home run with his combinations.
Just getting going here on the People's United Bank postgame show. When we come back, going to hear from the head coach, his postgame news conference. Also going to hear from Kia Stokes and Morgan Tuck. And we'll have complete game highlights. And we'll check the record book to check on Kara's phantom stats. We're back in a moment. Gary Apple, Kara Walters back inside our New York City studios. There's Brianna Stewart getting the USA Basketball Female Athlete of the Year award before tonight's game with Houston. There's Stewart for 3. Connecticut on the board and then getting it done on the defensive end, coming up with the steal. And Mariah Jefferson, the Huskies off to the races.
I think Brianna Stewart was showing that she deserved that award from USA Basketball, and it's just one of many.
There's Jefferson. Great anticipation.
Great anticipation. She gets in the passing lane so well. She then puts the pedal to the metal, and nobody can catch her.
And sees the floor so well. Kalina Mosqueda-Lewis, great rotation on the basketball, part of an 18-0 Connecticut run. They led 14-2, and there's Jefferson again.
Again, in the passing lanes, and she looks up the floor so well. Brianna Stewart runs the floor so well, and she rewards her.
Strong night from Morgan Tuck, but the defense not even reacting. Connecticut had the lead. It was 27-5. Hartley then to Mosqueda-Lewis, another wide-open 3.
Wide open. I don't think they got the memo. Kalina Mosqueda-Lewis, you have to guard her.
Which is hard to believe. Stephanie Dolson blocks Demetria Foreman right there. She had a career-high 6 blocks in the opening half at the other end. Dolson, great position.
Great high-low. Kia Stokes sees her, puts her in the perfect position to make that easy shot.
Tremendous night for Kia Stokes. Nobody puts a body on her. Caps a 21-0 UConn run. Later, it's Hartley to Stewart, who can deliver from just about anywhere on the court.
That short mid-range jumper is a lost art. She knocks it down.
48-15 Connecticut. Stewart, another 18-foot jump shot. She had 17 in the first half. Connecticut up 52-19 at the break. Dolson, second half, inside to Jefferson, who pokes it to Stewart for the basket. Tremendous recognition.
Yeah, look at that. And I love her because she's in amongst the trees and she has such good vision.
54-19 Connecticut. Kia Stokes with the block, and then at the other end, Stokes would go to work on the offensive end. You talk about the mid-range jump shot. There it is.
There it is, and she uses that bank and step back. Good footwork.
Morgan Tuck going to work down low. The good extra pass right there.
Always the extra pass. They wouldn't have that kind of assist ratio if not.
Bench getting plenty of run tonight. Sanaya Chong spotting Tuck inside. Tuck had 19 points, a new career high. Chong going to miss the three, but there's Stewart. Just too easy once again.
Too easy. You have to put a body on her. She's so long. She gets those easy.
The fundamentals. Chong blocking Foreman right there. Foreman gets it back, but then Stewart blocks her. And then Stewart again, 17 block shots for the Huskies as they win 90-40. That's going to make the head coach Gino Auriemma a very happy man. UConn shot 50% in the game. Houston shot just 21%. What a discrepancy at the free throw line, where Houston was just 3 of 4 in the game, where Connecticut 17 of 20. So big discrepancies throughout the entire game when it comes to how easily Connecticut got the win, their 16th consecutive to begin the season. But they've got Temple next, and then Baylor looming. Will that be a test?
Yeah, I think definitely will be a test. I mean, you know, I'm the first one to say that seeing this team lose this season, it's hard for me to see that. However, you do have Baylor. No Brittany Griner anymore, but my girl Odyssey Sims is there.
Love her.
One of the best backcourt players in the nation, and they're a well-coached team and a solid team, and they've played against UConn, so they don't have that fear factor. So definitely a big game. It will be exciting to finally have a good one.
Let's go back, Gampo Pavilion. That's where Kareth Burke joins us right now.
All right, I'm with Kia Stokes and Morgan Tuck. We'll turn to the upperclassmen first. You guys built a huge lead at halftime. When you come out in the second half, felt like things were loose. In a game like this, you guys feel like you could play with a little more flair?
I think so. It's one thing, you know, we got to come out strong, play hard for 40 minutes, but Coach also emphasized that we can't, you know, if we're up by a lot, we can't just play, you know, lethargic and kind of low speed. We got to keep our tempo, and that's how we get better and prepare for games in the future.
Morgan Tuck had a new career high, 19. How is your teammate doing, making the most of her minutes right now?
She did great. I mean, it's about time, Morgan. I mean, she did great. We're really proud of her. She's working hard at practice the past week. You know, she's been really good. We just hope she keeps it up for the rest of the season.
Thank you. So, Morgan, I turn to you. It's about time, and Coach Auriemma also said he hopes this could be a breakout for you. How are you feeling about your game right now?
I feel good. You know, it's been a struggle a lot lately, and, you know, being out, obviously I wasn't playing, but, you know, the games coming back, they just weren't good, you know. And so, like he said, it is about time that I actually go out there and contribute to the team. So, you know, hopefully it is a good game and I can continue to improve off of it.
He mentioned you did have some struggles off of that knee injury, maybe a little confidence issue. But what does a game do like this for you as you move forward?
It definitely boosts your confidence. I think when you see your shots going in, that definitely helps, I think, any player. And I think that's been the struggle, like he said, was the confidence. It was really low lately. So, you know, hopefully this can keep my confidence up.
How about UConn's defense, too? You guys are really solidifying your place as the #1 blocking team in the conference, up there in the country, too. You guys feeling good about that part of your game?
Yeah, I think so. Kia, Bree, and Steph, they do a great job blocking shots. So I think, you know, if our defense is good, our offense is good. And I think that we've been doing a pretty good job with defense.
Thank you very much.
Guys, we thank you all. How about Kia Stokes giving Morgan Tuck the business? I love that.
That's what they do. They're like sisters. They love each other. You can poke fun of each other.
Really
kind of like you and I.
Well, what, are you poking? That's it. Poking. By the way, I mean, Kia Stokes is somebody we've talked about. When you look forward, I mean, Stephanie Dolson, this is her senior year, depending on what they do recruiting-wise, a lot is going to be expected of her moving forward.
Yeah, I think this is fantastic to see that light, because those two are going to have to take over when Stephanie Dolson leaves. Big shoes to fill, and those two are going to be a huge part of it. And that's part of the reason Gina wants to give them as many minutes as possible, because he sees the future, that those are going to be the solid future post players, and hopefully they'll live up to those standards.
By the way, our crack staff has delved deep into those Connecticut record books, and we have gotten the answer.
2, 3.
8 blocks on 2 occasions for this. She's so modest, but a former national champion, a gold medal winner in the Olympics, a WNBA champion. We sit next to women's basketball royalty on this show. When we come back here on the People's United Bank postgame show, going to hear from the head coach of the Connecticut Huskies, the #1 team in America. That's Gino Auriemma, as Brianna Stewart. A tremendous night. 24 points, 9 rebounds, 6 block shots, and a couple of steals. Time now for the People's United Bank Player of the Game. It goes to Brianna Stewart. Don't forget, named USA Basketball's Female Athlete of the Year today. And what numbers she put up tonight? 24 points, 9 rebounds, 4 assists, and 6 blocked shots. She is the People's United Bank Player of the Game, all part of Connecticut's big win tonight over Houston, 90-40. And with that, we're heading back to Storrs, Connecticut. The head coach, the Hall of Famer, Gino Auriemma, his post-game news conference.
Very happy the energy, the way you guys, some of the early starts haven't been as good. Today, some of you guys really jumped out. A lot of energy on offense and on defense.
Yeah, there was a distinct difference at the beginning of the game today than certainly the both Central Florida and the Memphis game. And I think everybody's just happy to be home, even though it's short. I think everybody's just happy to be here, happy to be playing in our, on our home court, being in our locker room and being back in their own apartments. So I think it was just it's just what we needed, and it looked like it certainly the entire first half. I don't think there was any change in how we played in the first half.
What kind of an element does having Stewie and Stephanie in the back of that defense add for you guys?
Well, I mean, we've always played. We've always played our defense according to the personnel that we have. Some years we can do things that we can't do other years. This year we happen to have, the opportunity to do certain things that I think give us a different look than we've had in the past. Stephanie's a senior, and she's a really good defender. Kia Stokes comes in, and she's a really good defender, and Stewie's getting better. So we've got a couple, we got a couple post players that have become pretty good defenders. Now, you could tell a little bit tonight. You can't tell a lot tonight about how good they are defensively, because obviously the players we were playing against are not at that level of what we're going to be playing against down the road. But I think we still saw them do some things that, I think are going to be okay going forward.
Gino, how encouraging is it Morgan Tuck's put together back-to-back games, back-to-back good games now?
Yeah, I was surprised when I heard that she had 19, because she does it so quietly. It's almost like you notice more when she misses and when she's not scoring than you do when she is. But that's kind of her personality too. She's quiet, and her game is quiet. But in the end, you look up and she's done a little bit of everything, and that's what Morgan is. Morgan is that player that you can call on to do a variety of things, and she does all of them well. And I'm certain that as the season goes on and Morgan keeps, getting closer and closer to what I think she was before the injury, our team will get a lot better. Our team will get a lot better.
Stewie, obviously we heard today that USA Basketball honored her again as Player of the Year. There's some pretty select company on that, how they were among the players. What do you make of this, Gino?
I mean, Stewie's always been, I think she's always been honored to be part of USA Basketball. It's one of the most important things to her as far as the game itself goes, and she's never passed up an opportunity to participate. And she She's played at her age group. She's played up 1 or 2 and sometimes 3 years, and she always performs at a really high level. She has a strong commitment, and I think USA Basketball really appreciates the commitment that she has. Some people, you got to ask them 10 times, and Stewie, you don't have to ask at all. You just have to tell her when training camp is, and she shows up. And whatever team she's on usually wins a gold medal. So I'm not surprised. I'm not surprised that USA Basketball thinks that highly of her. She certainly earned it, and there's probably a lot more gold medals in her future.
Gino, does part of you yearn for a nice, tight, close game where you have to do something?
You sound like Boeheim now.
I don't mean that. I don't mean to be.
No, I know.
I don't want to. I don't know how to ask that.
There's no easy way to ask that question. That's why you shouldn't ask it, damn it. There's no easy way to ask that question. I mean, and believe me, it's something that that we talk about a lot. How if we're not careful, we kind of get lulled into, just playing and thinking that everything's always going to be hunky-dory and everything's going to be fine, and we never have to worry about, executing something exactly right. So we have to try to create that stuff at practice as much as we can. But there's certainly nothing like doing it in a game. But I've been on both sides of it. I remember probably my first 15 years here where every game seemed to be decided in the last minute or two, and in the Big East especially, and certainly the non-conference games. And there is something to be said for that. You do get a kick out of those games. And we certainly have scheduled with the intention of having a lot of those games. It just hasn't panned out that way this year. And I'm confident that when that time comes, we'll be, could be this weekend. Who knows? But I'm confident when that time comes, we'll be ready for it. It's something I think the players want too. I know the players love being in that kind of, you can see it, at Penn State or at Maryland, we're on the road playing a good team. If they're making a run, it just feels different. And I think the players really get a kick out of that. But sometimes, you just gotta go with what's going on out there, and you gotta play. I mean, I was thinking about that one day recently, and college football came to mind for whatever reason, maybe because the championship game was last night. And I think about, college teams that play 12 games. They play 12 games. That's not a lot when you think about it. And every one of them is like a playoff game. It's not like the NFL or anything else where you can afford to, lose a couple games during the regular season. It's like every Saturday is a playoff game. But when you look at some of the scores in college football, I would wonder how many games Alabama or Florida State or those teams were decided by less than 2 touchdowns during the course of the year out of 12. 2, 3, maybe, and the other 9 were laughers. I think there's a danger when you get to be really, really good that you do make it look easy. And it's really not that easy, but because you just have the kind of players that make it look easy, I think coaches are always on their, pins and needles about making sure that that doesn't become who you are. Let's just show up, roll the balls out, and let's win. But I don't know how you prevent that. I really don't.
You know,
Gino Auriemma, going to hear plenty more from him coming up just about four and a half minutes from now. The Gino Auriemma Show coming up bottom of the hour. But just to expound on what he was talking about there for a moment, listen, they've played 5 games against ranked teams already, Stanford, Duke, Maryland, Penn State, and Cal, and they've beaten those 5 teams by an average of 22 points. And those are 2 of the top 3 teams in the country, UConn, of course, being number 1, Stanford and Duke.
Yeah.
So what's a team to do?
Well, you can't become complacent,
right,
and you have to stay invested in the game. And I think so far they've done that. That's hard to do, and like Gino said, you don't know exactly how to do that other than challenge them every day in practice so they don't become complacent.
Not done yet here. When we come back, I want to wrap it up as UConn gets the big win. They win by 50 tonight over Houston. The Cougars have now lost 4 consecutive as they struggle in a very big way. 90-40, the Huskies continue to roll. Upcoming Connecticut schedule brought to you by our friends at Town Fair Tire. Next up, Temple on Saturday, followed by the showdown against the Bears down in Texas on Monday. And then Rutgers, Memphis comes to town, and then South Florida on the 26th of January. Karen and I go to see you back here on Saturday, bright and early, 11:30, our pregame broadcast. And then Eric and Meg with the call from up at Connecticut at noon. Don't forget, coming up right now, it is the Gino Auriemma Show that follows a break. And so we thank you for joining us as we wrap up our coverage of UConn basketball tonight. They win by a final of 90-40 over the Houston Cougars. For Carol Walters, I'm Gary Apple. We say so long from New York City.